Hi, and welcome to FrazlCast. Climb aboard the Gnome Train.
Woo! Chugga, 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 woo!
Please make sure to keep your limbs and experimental instruments inside the train at all times. And now, on with the show.
A podcast by a Blizzard fan gnome about World of Warcraft and geeky stuff. I promise you, they do talk about the World of Warcraft. They just go off the rails sometimes.
Record a podcast. It's a wonderful phrase. It means make sure we're recording as we're about to do a podcast. It's my mostly problem-free philosophy. So I'm Frazley, and I am joined by my fellow gnome companion, Michael of the G-Nome Project.
That's right. Hello, I am Michael from aforementioned G-Nome Project.
As well as the lovable maker of lock cookies and eating of breader, Lady Emma.
Hola, everyone. Don't speak Spanish with me because that's all I know.
Yeah, you're speaking Spanish. I'm saying breader, so language is off to a great start tonight. Ain't that awesome? So on this episode, we will talk with Michael about their experience running D&D campaigns with their campers, and then talk about a suggestion by an investor of a mouse that thinks that their company that made the #1 grossing movie of all time should buy Activision. So we asked you for your Disney-Blizzard crossover ideas, and we will finish our evening with trivia and any tangents that come along the way. So before we get into all of that, Epicinsanity, what time is it?
It's time to go around the table.
Great idea. So what have you been up to recently? We will start with Michael.
All right, I've been up to a few things, mainly homework. I am back in school, which is actually really weird to be back in school at the age of 30. I think I'm about 6 years removed from being in school the first time, but I made some bad decisions, and I'm trying to go back and right some wrongs and just kind of get back on the flow of things.
Absolutely.
So I was at a party last night, and I was doing homework at the party, and everybody was like, "Are you depressed or something?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually pretty fine. I'm feeling pretty good." They're like, "Okay, because we see you over here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just doing some homework, trying to keep up on top of things."
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, that sucks." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, the first time around, I did a little bit too much on the party side and not enough on the homework side. So now here I am trying to do it again."
Absolutely. Making up for it now.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing homework at parties, what else have you been doing?
I am on the slow grind for playing WoW. Trying to earn that reputation, which is not going too quickly at the moment. I barely get any time to play, but that's mainly because there are a few other things that are dividing my attention from the WoW grind. And right now, one of those big ones is actually SWTOR, which is Star Wars: The Old Republic. Frazley, you know, because we've had a discussion about this, but SWTOR announced that in September there's going to be another expansion. And for people who don't play or have thought it's been dead since 2014, it's still around, it's still kicking, and it's still a heck of a good time. So I'm just hanging out, playing some SWTOR, having a great time. And also, I've been playing some of the StarCraft cartoon, the Carbot animation that was done for the original StarCraft Brood War remaster thing, and it's been absolutely fun and confusing. Looking at all the units in this cutesy form, I can't quite register everything as quickly as I normally would, which is not very quickly to begin with. Like, don't even think that I'm like this StarCraft champ. Not even close to it. But it's pretty amazing the amount of effort that they went through in order to make everything flow the way they did, and everything has changed in terms of, like, they redid everything. It's pretty awesome. And then finally, just been playing some Darksiders, the old game that came out on the PS3, I believe, and the Xbox 360. I've been playing it on PC, and it's a hell of a good time. Like, I'm really enjoying it.
That's what I need to finish, because it's always a fun one. I like the graphic style. I like the going through Revelation and like their take on it. It feels so good with the controls.
Yeah, like it really holds up, which is pretty cool. I always like different spins on like religious text or things like that. Like they had the Dante's Inferno game, and that was pretty cool. I'm actually like a huge fan of like the epic poem and things like that. So just like the epic adventure of going through like those different variations of hell and the inner circles, like that's really cool to me. So I love doing these type of games. So I'm having a good time.
Nice. As someone whose refrigerator is like it's from hell is Lady Emma.
Yep. My freezer just doesn't like me. The amount of times it has, just defrost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Frazley had a conversation about this a couple years ago, and he told me about this item to put in the freezer, and it'll let you know when the temperature is off. And I wanted to get that. My boyfriend wasn't too keen. But besides that, no, because that is just recent stuff. What have I been up to? Well, my raid team is doing the new raid of the palace, and the first night we did it was a slow start. I think we got 4 bosses down, and then we managed to get almost all of them except for the last boss the second night. Second week, we got all the bosses done except for the last one. So on the second night of raiding, we managed to get the last boss done and did heroic Warfront.
Nice.
Yesterday, when we raided, I was late for reasons. I'm hoping no one of my raid team is listening. I was late because I was doing a different type of raid. I was doing Pokemon Go raid.
Okay.
I have to say, having Pokemon Go raid at the same time as my actual World of Warcraft raid is horrible and mean and cruel.
Yeah.
I managed to find a group that was going to do a raid walk, and I really wanted this armored Mewtwo. I know apparently the stats and everything is horrible and it's useless, but I wanted it. And my best friend wanted it, and she has the same problem as me. It's we can't defeat it on our own, and it was hard. So they had a raid hour that all the gyms were going to be Mewtwo. And I'm like, I can't pass this up.
Yeah.
My raid doesn't know the real reason why I was late. I just said I was going to be late. So I'm really hoping they haven't listened, because I'm probably going to get a talking to. So I did make it to the last 2 bosses. So now I just got to farm the beginning bosses.
Hold on.
Yeah.
How long was the Pokemon Go raiding that you only made it to the last 2 bosses?
1 hour. But it starts the same time as my raid. So they both started at 6 p.m. So the Pokemon Go ended at 7, but there was one more normal, not raid event, Mewtwo. So we end up killing that one as well, so everyone can get an EX pass in 2 weeks for that gym. Yeah, so we end up battling 7 gyms, and I managed to get 6 armored Mewtwo's.
So
wow.
Good thing that nobody from CTR listens to this podcast.
I'm totally gonna get in trouble here.
Yes, and I'm leaving it in.
I did tell one of my raid team members the real reason, but he had no clue what I was talking about. So I thought
that's why he knows.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so I was hoping to make it at halftime, and so yeah, my raid team managed to kill all the bosses in less than 3 hours.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, all normal. I'll clarify, it was normal. So next Monday we're going to be doing heroic. Hence why I really need to farm those other bosses to see if I can get any gear, because I have the worst RNG this expansion for gear. Basically, all the gear I have been getting is hand-me-downs from people who don't need it. For the most part, I'm the only cloth wearer in our raid team. We just recruited a cloth wearer, so I have someone who can give me hand-me-downs.
Nice.
So that's nice, but being the only cloth wearers and you're relying on RNG plus bonus rolls, you don't get much. So yeah, I've been doing that. Of course, Pokemon Go. The people I met up with, they're a great group, but slightly elitist. Nice people, but they look at my game and they just told me all my stuff is horrible. I don't want to use the word that I want to use. I'm trying to keep it PG.
Yeah.
But they basically just said it's horrible. Am I a new player? I must be just starting out. All this stuff. And I'm like, no, I've been playing since it came out. I just not gung-ho. Like, I'm just learning about how to tell how good your IV Pokemon are, like, for IV. And I found out I have a perfect Chansey, so I'm ecstatic. But I don't know if Chansey's good anymore. I know it used to be good. I'm leveling up that, because that's perfect. I did find out I also have a Persian, which was kind of ironic, being the crazy cat lady I am. Yeah, oh yeah, I have flying.
Nice. Nice.
Way!
Last Friday, so almost a week ago, I was forcing myself to find whatever rep I could with the Mechadon people.
Did you call them the Mechadon?
Maybe.
I had like a giant dinosaur.
I'm Mechadon.
I'm sorry. I was just like, wait a minute, what?
I was hoping that would go by.
I like that you kept going with it. Like,
Yeah.
nobody heard it. I'm just going to keep going.
And I'm just gonna let it go. I mean,
I needed about 600 rep. That's all I needed. And I'm like, I have to find a way to do it. I did everything, and then I realized, hey, I hadn't done the quest for Chromie. So I had the, thankfully, Smatic to make it so I can go into her world, which is the only way you can kill the prince is when she is not up, because he will not spawn if she's around.
okay.
You're trying to get that achievement, get the Smatics so you can go into the alternate world and he'll be up more often. At the end of it, I was short 29 rep points.
You were short on Gnome rep, 29 rep points.
Yeah. That was very frustrating. And of course, I complained. This is like 1 o'clock in the morning. This is way past my bedtime now. And I'm like, I'm gonna get this 29 reps somehow. And trying to figure out, I've been complaining on Twitter and I've got a response. And someone was like, well, why don't you go get contract?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's a contract? I already have the contract to, like, with the little imp and everything. Do I have to sign another contract? Like, what's going on? Well, anyways, before I kind of figured out what that was, I noticed I had one quest for PvP.
Oh, yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah. Thankfully, this PvP one means I didn't have to kill people. This one, I just had to kill items in war mode.
Okay, yes. Nice.
Yeah.
What a give.
I know, but I have to watch out so I don't die. But if you don't kill non-elite mobs, you might have a chance of getting 1 or 2 items, and you need like 150.
Okay, yeah, so there's enough chance that you'll die in PvP, so that's
Yeah.
okay. I
Because you can kill like 5 mobs, and you might have 4. So I found out when you kill the elites, they have a higher chance rate to drop, and more will drop. And I found this one group kind of farming in the one area where there's lots of elites. So I'm just tagging everything that they aggro and pray that they don't die. There's a couple times they run off and all the things went on me and I died, but I don't care because they came back after they killed whatever rare. Eventually, I got it that night. 1:30, almost 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I was asleep at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got up at, 6 o'clock in the morning because I'm a masochist.
I can't do that anymore.
I was feeling it the next day.
Oh, I bet.
I was up to like 11:30 last night, and I'm over here dying right now because I'm up.
Yeah, I was up till midnight last night because guess what I did last night?
What did you do last night?
You rated ICC.
No, I did that maybe
You've
Wednesday.
already said that.
Yeah, I did Tuesday, Wednesday with Capo.
So not
Capo's
with
awesome.
me.
I keep forgetting about that. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
I know how it is.
So, and part of it is I'm also hanging out with Michael. I mean, he and I are hanging out in the Blue Recluse on the G-Nome project.
That's right.
My gnome is now level 55, and yours is 59 now. With
57.
57. Okay, so because Michael's high on all those herbs.
Hey, I
on
picked
the
a
herbs.
I
listen-
simply picked a profession that had XP gain. It's not my fault that you chose skinning and haven't done anything with it.
I know Heisenberg. No, but that was Blue Crystal. That wasn't. Anyway,
Blue Crystal? You guys doing the drugs? That's bad.
No,
yeah,
we're not doing them. We're just picking them and selling them.
yeah. I
Oh, okay.
mean, we're not making it. It's
Completely
just,
different. We're perfectly
Exactly.
legit.
So you're dealing them. Got it.
No, if we sell it in the raw form, it's okay.
Yeah. And it can get you high, like the fact that I am now high over Paralysis. So I got Pathfinder Part 2. I can finally fly.
Yay!
Jaina's my bae, and Jaina gave me the rep I needed. So last night I logged into a few world class thinking I won't really get too far. Gina was like, nope, here you go. And was like, here's all the rep you need. So I was like just ecstatic on stream, just having so much fun. Sorry to rub it in, Michael. I'm not trying to rub it in.
So
that's because I talked to her beforehand, and she was like, "For you, I'll help him out."
Thank you.
But so how did Jana give you the rep? She didn't...
That's a good question. I don't know if this is the right podcast for that.
Frazley.
No, this is not a podcast about story mechanics. That's a lore question. There's a quest, and tonight's not about lore.
I called it a quest too. What a journey it was for me and the Fellowship.
So, but tonight I wanted to talk about you're a dungeon master.
I would not go that far.
I'm biting my tongue because my mind went in the gutter when he said that.
Wow.
This is another thing of 50 Shades.
Yeah.
So much for keeping it PG, as you said earlier.
Oh, it's still PG. We haven't said anything bad.
Sexually innuendos are not PG.
Hey, they put it in Disney. It's okay.
That is right. A Little Mermaid.
I am sorry, but she just said they put it in Disney, so it's okay. And I'm sorry, Frazley, if this is supposed to be PG.
So Michael, how did you get into Dungeons and Dragons?
It all began in high school. No,
And Kai's right. Disney has the innuendos for days. I mean, it is
they
right.
do. Mm-hmm. I began Dungeons and Dragons actually before I could actually play Dungeons and Dragons. My dad grew up in the 80s and was a huge nerd. Like the biggest nerd. Like before it was cool, my dad was a nerd, as in he had a shirt with the pocket on it and there was most likely a marker of some sort inside of that pocket.
Did he have a pocket protector?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. So if he hears it, please know I didn't say for sure. All right, I don't know. All right, but he did have some big old glasses. I'll tell you that much. He looked like somebody from Revenge of the Nerds, okay?
That was a good movie.
It was. And he played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and he was the DM when his friends would come over when I was really little. And I just remember being in the living room, and he was in the kitchen. We lived in a small one-bedroom apartment. And I would just randomly be hearing these noises of and it'd be my dad just kind of doing the monster noises and all this. And I just used to listen to it. And for me, it was an audiobook before audiobooks were a thing. It was listening to this adventure and his friends getting drunk and doing decisions and things like that. He would be kind of just leading them through this adventure. And then finally I was old enough that he tried it with myself and my brothers. And of course, we're kids at the time, so it was stubbornness and just dumb decisions. So my dad ended up killing us because we simply kept arguing over a map. My brother had the map, or I had the map. One of us had the map, and we were so against the other person even looking at the map that one of us was you know what? I want to grab my sword and I want to hit him. So my dad was he was so pissed off, that we were just completely destroying this thing that he had made. And he's okay, both of you roll your dice. And we both roll, and no matter what the number was, I think he had planned it. And it was more you both have killed each other, and you're both dead, and the adventure's over. Go to your room. And that was my introduction, my first Dungeons and Dragons experience was my dad getting pissed off and sending me to my room.
You've never forgotten it.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you never forget your first D&D game.
That's true. You never forget your first D&D experience.
One interesting thing that you've done, you are a camp counselor, and right now is a pivotal time in their life to try new experiences like gaming and stuff like that. You are teaching them, as you said, D&D light.
I work with campers. I am considered what the camp calls a lead instructor. I've taught kids how to build go-karts, and they've had their first experience with power drills and handsaws and things like that. And right now we're building mystery rooms, which is for those who have done them, they're considered escape rooms. But these are a little bit more thematic, and they're encouraged to expand their mind and things like that. And with the first week, I had kind of decided this idea of these kids are done pretty quickly like ahead of the curriculum that we're supposed to do. So what can I do to fill this time? And I simply wrote down a short thing of like, hey, you're in a room and this is the room that you do. And I'm a huge fan of like H.P. Lovecraft and the Eldritch God horrors. Like some of my favorite games are Darkest Dungeons, like that whole theme of like squid-like tentacles, and the gods are so immense and powerful that as you become to know more about them, you slowly go insane. So I created this little adventure where I put them in a room and I told them, they all sat down together and I'm like, you all are one person right now. Your decisions affect the entirety of the group. So I am going to paint you a picture. I'm going to describe the room, and you have free reign within limits of what you want to do. I'm going to describe everything, and you can choose to walk over to the wall. You can attempt to do something, and I will tell you the results of your actions and things like that. And they really took to the idea, so I created this environment for them, and it's continued throughout. I'm in my 3rd week doing this, and one of the highlights for them, they're always asking, can we do the adventure? Can we do the adventure? And each day leads into the next. And of course, as kids do, there's always some dumb decisions made. And it's simply me leading them through, and I have to like make decisions. Like, okay, do I just completely hammer them right now? Usually by Wednesday, I start hammering them. Like, I'm just like, no, like, you know how this goes. You decided to make dumb decisions continuously. This camper is killing you right now, type deal. So my group right now, they're pretty involved in it, and they're being chased by wolves currently. We weren't able to continue it, so we had to leave off where they narrowly escaped a pack of wolves that was like chasing them in a forest because they decided to howl, but they rolled really low. So like I use a 20-sided die and I just roll, and I'm like, hey, these are what these numbers mean. If I roll, that means that either you or something else is doing an action. If I'm rolling for you and you roll low, then something bad is going to happen. But they rolled pretty well, so they dodged the wolves, but first time they rolled low, and their howl, instead of like making the wolves calm or passive, it enraged them, and the wolves charged them. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
What is an easy and accessible D&D campaign that my sister can teach my nephew? They're trying to get my nephew away from video games because a lot of kids nowadays are addicted to video games. Hey, how do we all meet? Video games. My nephew is a high-functioning autistic, and more video games he plays or more screen time he gets, more irritable, agitated, and whiny his attitude becomes. So they have to limit it. But they're trying to find something fun to get him involved. So do you know any campaigns or D&D style that's easy for my sister and her husband can learn and integrate her 7 and 4-year-old into?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest if you want to go straight Dungeons and Dragons, the Starter Edition is a very great place to start. The Starter Edition is not necessarily just a Starter Edition for individuals playing the game, but also individuals trying to lead the game. It gives you the basic information you need to run a basic adventure. It's nothing crazy. You're not fighting like immense dragons and casting a million spells all at once, because the truth of it is that D&D is not very easily accessible in the very beginning. Like creating a character, if you look into it, is pretty intensive, and it takes so much effort and research in order to do this well. But the Starter Edition comes with pre-made characters. What I do to get the kids involved in it is simply tell them like, hey, right now we're going to take a step back and we're going to try something. Like we're going to try it just for today, and we're going to see how it goes. What I normally do is I leave it on a cliffhanger on purpose. That way, if they are involved and invested, that cliffhanger makes them say like, hey, when are we going to do this again? I want to do this again. And then instead of reaching for the controller per se, they might be like, you know what? I want to do that adventure again. Like, let's go into that adventure. And then before you know it, they're naturally balancing the two. There's definitely merit to not spending all of your time on a screen. And I do love the idea of mix and matching. Like, obviously I'm a gamer. I love playing on my computer and playing PC games, but at the same time, I do know that there is stuff outside of that. And if you are maybe like the starter set is like even still too much, maybe just think of like, what are their interests? what video games are they playing? Kind of create like your own story within that world. And then without much rules, just kind of be like, hey, let's try this. And you create like this own little image for them, and they kind of lead you through it. And you're like, hey, I'm going to give you some scenarios. You tell me what you want to do, and we'll kind of react. It does take some little bit of thinking on the head. Like most of the stuff that I do with my groups is I create things out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be like, hey, I want to pick the painting up. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about what if they pick the painting up. So I can choose right off the top of my head, like, oh, you pick the painting up and nothing happens. Or I can choose the squid-like tentacles on the painting decide to start moving. What do you do? It's just simply presenting it in like a fun way rather than, hey, I want you to do this instead of doing that. It's more of like, hey, today, can we try this? Like, around this time, let's try this. Like, you can play your game up until this time, and then how about after that, we go ahead and try this. And then if you leave it, like if they're invested and they're interested and you leave it at a cliffhanger, they're more likely to come back to it. But if you close it up like a book and they finish it, then they're like, okay, that was cool. You know, I did it, but it's over. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I think the cliffhanger might just not stop to the point where he was not going to go to bed because he's going to complain because we didn't finish it. He does,
that could also be a thing.
Yeah, he does that. He's really into Star Wars and Lego. So he plays Star Wars Legos or the Avengers Lego. The biggest thing with my sister, she is not anti-gun. She just wants my nephew to know that guns are not a toy. So he isn't allowed to play with guns because they're not a toy.
Okay.
They're a weapon. They're a device to use for things. So that's the other thing she's always watching out. It's like, okay, how can we teach him this isn't a fun thing. This is a dangerous thing that you have to treat with respect. While all his buddies are also playing games. So yeah, no, D&D was just kind of like, there is no gun in D&D.
Yeah.
They're swords.
Yeah, there's swords and daggers. I mean, like, D&D can get pretty deep, and like the thing, like, if you're playing D&D right, there's like, oh, and then I thrust my dagger into its gut, and I slipped it up so that all of the guts start falling off. Like, that's a very real possibility. But what you could also do is, if he likes Star Wars, you can create where, like, maybe instead of focusing on, like, the lightsaber blaster action of Star Wars, what if they're, like, a private investigator within the Star Wars universe, and they actually don't have any weapons? They're simply solving a mystery within the area. Like, something has happened, and you see this, and you see that, and if you really want to hammer home the idea of weapons are not a good thing, they can come across, like, an individual or somebody that has been hurt by this weapon, and without using that weapon, they actually go through and they try to discover what has happened, and through it they discover, like, oh my god, like, this thing is what penetrated the body and caused this type of harm. So the solution could be somewhere along the lines of, like, we need to make sure that we remove these from the situation so that this never happens to somebody again.
It kind of reminds me of my brother-in-law took me through the Traveler series, and that one was an exploring a spaceship. I don't know if Traveler is more than like just that. I've not played much D&D, but like in the Traveler, we didn't fight anything, but we went onto a spaceship because the spaceship was like floating in space, and we're trying to figure out what happened there.
I like that type of stuff. Like, nothing, like, I think it took me a little bit, like, to be honest, in my younger years, like, things that exploded and things that, like, caused a big scene, like, that was the cool thing. It was visceral, and when you're younger, visceral things kind of, they jump out to you, but I think it all comes down to description. If you're able to create an atmosphere with your words and your tone and the way that you come about something, that it can completely change the imagery that a kid creates in their mind. Like, you can create the scariest clown in the world by simply, like, its teeth were bared and they were sharp and I could tell that it was looking at me with its glowing red eyes. Or you could say, like, there was a clown playing games in the back and it was awesome. It had balloons and stuff like that. So it's like the same situation, just described differently with tone and things like that can shift their mind.
But we all know clowns are scary, especially if their name is George.
Yeah.
Clowns are terrifying in any situation, and if a clown comes near me, I will punch it in the face.
Aww.
Unless it has sharp teeth, then I'm booking it.
What about if it was a mime? Like,
mimes are creepy too.
Yeah.
There are some things that are so creepy. I would trip my girlfriend so that I could run and it would attack her first.
Have you seen the Pikachu Detective movie?
I have not, but I want to.
Okay.
When it comes to movies, I'm a little bit slow.
All right. You've seen the commercials at least. So Mr. Mime, does he creep you out?
Mr. Mime is the creepiest, and here's why. Because he's very human-like, and Ash seemed perfectly fine with just leaving Mr. Mime at home with his mom. First of all, Professor Oak is always at his mom's house. Like, you never know why. He makes the call home, and Ash never asks. Like, he says it all casually, too, sometimes, where he's just like, Professor Oak, I didn't know you were at your mom's house. And as he fixes his hair, he's like, I was just looking at Mr. Mime, making sure everything was okay. And I'm just like, you were looking at Mr. Mime, making sure everything was okay? Like, y'all be, He destroyed a children's show. Sharky Boy in chat knows what's going on. He just said, right? Like, what's going on over there? We all know.
No,
questions that need to be answered.
We all know what's going on over there, except for the children.
To keep it PG, Mr. Mime is digging down his mom. I'm sorry.
But, the translation also is kind of funny with it, because in the anime, the rice balls, they call them donuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really? We can clearly see that as rice with a little strip of seaweed on it.
Yeah.
Whoa. Maybe in Canada you can tell that, but I'm American. All right? If they say donuts, it's donuts.
Yeah, it's
A
donut.
jelly-filled donut?
That's right. Only jelly-filled. There are no other donuts. It's only jelly-filled.
What advice would you give someone who wants to lead campaigns like the kids and young adults?
This is like probably the most challenging part, which is be prepared for them to do some dumb things. When you're leading things for kids, like, you need to know that, especially like depending on the age group, but if they are like middle school, like as in 4th grade till about 8th grade, just know that the boys are going to do some dumb stuff. Like, they're going to do some dumb stuff. And my example is that the group I had last week, I presented them with a situation. They had stumbled upon a dragon in its lair, and they were about to do battle with this dragon. And one of the boys decided that he would be a little bit smart and wanted to make people laugh. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna T-pose in front of the dragon. Everyone was yelling, no! And I'm like, nope, he said it, and I'm gonna teach you a lesson right now. So I'm like, you decide to do a T-pose, and the dragon whacks you with its tail because it is pissed off that you decided to disrespect it in such a way. It hits you with its tail, breaking a rib, smacks you into the wall, which gives you a minor concussion, and now every roll that you make subtracts 3.
Wow.
I turn their situation, I see in the chat that Sharky Boy's like, yeah, that's pretty funny. And it is funny and like a one-off situation, but also I think we all kind of hate, like, if we were playing a D&D game, like, we would hate that person that would do that, because that could be like, what if your healer was that douche that did that? And they did it, and then they got knocked out of the battle, and now you don't have any heals because they decided to, like, I'd rather make somebody laugh for 5 seconds than actually help the group. My biggest suggestion if you're leading a group is to kind of find a balance between what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, and it needs to be able to shift. In the beginning, I make things a little bit more lenient, but it also has a slight consequence. So when they decide to do something dumb, there is a small consequence in the beginning that kind of lets them know, like, oh, if I do these type of things, this and this might happen. But in the beginning, it's not going to, like, kill them. But later on, it starts intensifying, where I'm like, now you broke a leg. You punched a stone wall. Therefore, your hand is broken. And now you can't use your strong weapon because you have the wrong hand. So be flexible with the rules in the beginning and being able to adapt. And then the second part is you need to be descriptive. They need to, especially with the kids, like, you need to build this world. You have to remember, especially if they're kids that play video games, they are used to pushing the start button, and all of a sudden they are in this world that is around them. But as a storyteller, it's going to take a little bit more time, and they're not going to respond well to simply, there's a desk and you're in a room. What does the room look like? Is it lit? Are there torches on the walls? Like, the first room that you create sets the pace for the entire adventure. So I often will start it off lit, and I'll tell them what's lighting the room up, so that later on they learn to ask, is the room lit? Like, what's going on here? Is the room lit? Can I see? Or they might forget, and I'll simply tell them, like, oh, you try to do that, but you can't do because, like, there's no light. And they're like, what do you mean there's no light? You never asked. So I think, like, those are two big things to do, is, like, world building, which is pretty much a pre-made story. Like, you need to have a story to go along with it. What's your overall goal? And then the other one is allowing actions, but having consequences to certain actions. And the last thing that I will say is being open to not always going your way as a storyteller. They might come up with some creative ideas, and you need to kind of be like on the fly, ready to shift your attention to that. They may say something crazy and off the wall that you never thought of, and it's perfectly legit, but it might not fit with your story. What happens if you create a story and to the east they have this and this and this and this and this, but to the west you have not thought of that, and they're like, you know what? We're going to walk out of the town and we're going to go west. And you're just like, oh shit. Everything is off to the east.
Yeah.
I planned for everything to go over there. Are you simply going to tell them, sorry, you don't go west because I planned everything to the east or whatever?
Yeah.
Or are you going to adapt and overcome and maybe create an unpassable situation that might be pretty fun? Like, maybe they come into a pack of wolves and the wolf chases them into this, and it creates a fun
That's only if
version
they
of something
don't
that
try
you
to
created.
fight that wolf.
Oh, they can try to fight it, and you can put them in situations. Like, the brilliant part of being able to tell this story is that they can make things, and so can you. You can put things in the way and be like, oh, you're trying to fight this wolf. Just because they roll low, like if you decide to use a die and they roll low, does not always mean like, oh my god, you rolled a 1, therefore the wolf bites your head off. It doesn't have to be like that. You can just be like, oh, you rolled a 1, so the wolf runs at you and it smashes you with your body, and upon that wolf hitting you, it hits you with such ferocity that you realize that there's almost no chance that you can defeat this wolf. Now what do you want to do?
Or there could be a chance of, oh, you've rolled a 1. Well, you go run to attack and you trip over a little tiny pebble and you do a little roll and you fall into a puddle and now you're soaking wet and covered in
They
leeches.
love stuff. They love stuff like that. There was I did a little campaign where they kept rolling low and they tripped over the trap door that they were trying to unlock. And then the next person's like, oh, I'm going to go help them up. And they rolled low. So they tripped and fell in the same trap door. And as the person was getting up, they smashed them back down and came back up and smashed their head. So now they both had injuries and they couldn't see very well.
Wow.
You need to be able to create things out of nowhere and just kind of have like a general idea of what's going on. And if you really need help, there are books and things like that to kind of provide those with you. You don't always need dice. You could just simply create a certain character that can do certain things, and you can let them know, like, hey, your character would not do that. Remember, you are your character, you are not you. What would your character do?
What would Frazley do right now?
I can honestly say that I probably ask myself that question like 5 times a day.
Frazley would be probably on top of a mailbox. Mailbox.
Frazley's on top of the mail boss right now.
Trying to get a few extra coins or pleading that the mount would drop from ICC.
I mean, I want that mount.
You really want that mount.
Yes.
And speaking of things that people want, so a Disney investor who owns $4.3 million worth of shares of Activision, and they also own Disney, thinks that Disney should buy Activision.
So I'm just going to put my little 2 cents in before I go on the thing, because I remember a similar conversation of this years and years ago on All Things Azeroth. Medros was so against Disney owning Blizzard. So I just remember that tangent of how horrible it would be and everything being even more kind of Disney style drawings, got to update it to that. And of course, Jaina's now a princess.
She's
Oh.
always been a princess.
But more so, because now we get to put her in a little frilly dress.
I don't hear anything that's making me know.
Now, have you seen Wreck-It Ralph 2? In that one, all of the princesses are like against the Disney stuff.
I have not. I've been meaning to. It's on my movies to watch.
It's really good. Now, before anyone thinks that I'm all for this idea, know that I'm not for this idea. I mean, there are a couple of suggestions I heard. During Convert to Raid, Dazzledorn suggested a real Blizzard world. So Disney would have the funds, just like how they bought Star Wars and they have Star Wars Land. They bought Marvel, but right now Universal owns the rights to Marvel, so they can't put it. But no one owns the rights to a Blizzard theme park. There was one in China that they tried to do, not Blizzard, but somebody tried to do that was
Knockoff.
yeah. But Blizzard could finally have a real Blizzard world because Disney could put it in one of their parks.
Do you guys remember when Overwatch had their Blizzard World thing the first time they viewed it? And everyone's like, they need to make this for real.
Yes. I remember like thinking like that would be so cool. I mean, Disney would have the money for that. I mean, though there is one that I think I would prefer for Blizzard. So I have been to the Universal Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and I've been to the Diagon Alley in the Hogsmeade. That is authentic to the books. Universal did an amazing job with that, and they really made it very close. Like you didn't see Voldemort as Bluto, you didn't see Mickey Mouse as Harry Potter, Minnie as Hermione. There was none of that because it was Universal.
But, you know, if you really look at their cast, they would actually have cast people of those characters. Because they do that with Aladdin and Jasmine, and they're not all Mickey Mouse versions. They're actual people, and they do the same thing with the Star Wars. They have stormtroopers walking around, and they don't have Mickey ears on.
That is true. That certain things are Disney-fied. I mean, like Star Wars. I remember being in the gift shop, and you see like Goofy as Darth Vader, Bluto as like Darth Sidious, Mickey. So I mean, certain properties they do that with, and there's certain properties you're right. And even Marvel, I think they whenever they can. And they have merchandise for it. It's more true to the.
But that's also merchandise, not the actual characters, not the sets. Yes, they put hidden Mickeys everywhere.
Yes,
but I don't see it being too bad. The only problem that I remember, and you should remember this because we've talked about it, why Disney shouldn't, is Disney tends to kill their video games.
Oh, absolutely! That is my biggest fear. I was so into Disney Infinity. I was into all the, like, Disney Infinity was my game. Before I came back to WoW and I was not playing any MMOs, I was all about Disney Infinity. I have so many of the figures. I was like, this is going to be my game. I'm going to create these worlds. And I was like so excited for it. Then Disney kills it after 3. And I'm like, come on. And then I'm hearing about like Toontown Online. I'm hearing about, which I never was able to get because I didn't have enough money when I was a kid. I wanted to get it. And then when I was older, I thought, okay, it's a kid's game. So I didn't get into it, which Toontown Online actually was a pretty cool game that I'm watching videos on it. But yeah, I tried to get into that. They killed Pirates of the Caribbean Online. They killed Pixie Hollow. Oh, I'm so sad about Pixie Hollow. No, I never played Pixie Hollow, but I mean, they kill off a lot of their video games. I'm with you. I'm so afraid about that.
Because, you know, I wanted to get to the Infinity little characters, but my boyfriend wouldn't let me. But for some reason, he allows me to have Amiibos.
Which is really weird because those are always limited price. Whereas Infinity, there were so many characters. Well, maybe that was why Disney went out of business because they had so many Infinity characters. As Nintendo does what they're doing by limiting the Amiibos you can buy.
Yeah, but I don't want them to do what they're doing with Nintendo because now that character that is now done because they're not making anymore goes like over $100 on eBay, if not more.
Yeah, that would really stink.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm worried about with this Disney too is Blizzard has a pretty open stance with fan stuff. Like they have their limits, and we've all seen like where they tell people you need to stop doing this. I mean, there are certain things that they are, but they're pretty open with. I mean, they let us do 117 episodes about World of Warcraft. It's a pretty open stance. I would be more concerned, like, would Disney throttle Blizzard's fan community?
No, because there's still a lot of different communities with Disney. that there is. There's people who dress up as the characters. There's definitely podcasts about Disney. People do a lot of Disney style art. I would see that kind of freedom still be somewhat insane.
They let those fan fiction, like they let that Draco and Harry Potter fan fiction. Oh no, wait, that's Warner Brothers, wrong company.
What's kind of given me a little hope, if Disney does, is what they've been doing with Marvel, because technically they wanted to own Marvel, or they owned some of the Marvel stuff, but they wanted all the characters. Fox owned the rights to them, and Fox wouldn't give them up, so they bought Fox.
Okay, yes.
So Disney owns Fox, but instead of just changing it to the way they want to run Fox, is they're leaving Fox as it is. They just wanted the rights, so now that they can start putting Spider-Man in things. They now own X-Men, Silver Surfer, all these things that belong to Fox. Fox had the rights. Well, now they own Fox. Now they have more freedom to do things with Marvel. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you eventually buy from Universal more of the Marvel stuff. So they have all the collection.
You're right, because like even Overwatch and the cinematics are Pixar quality.
Mm-hmm.
You could see Overwatch stuff. I mean, like if they joined Blizzard cinematic team with Pixar, you could really have some amazing Blizzard movies. We could have a full-length Overwatch movie. I mean, okay. Leo Wild says Mutants and Fantastic Four were from Fox, so Spider-Man is Sony. So, but even that one, Sony's been a little bit more loose with, because Spider-Man was in 2 of the Avengers. Or is it 3?
He was in Infinity War, Endgame.
And then he has his 2 own video.
He has his 2 standalone, and those 2 standalone were also Marvel. Yeah. From what I understand, they kind of created like this deal where Sony still had like some sort of control over certain things, but it's almost like, hey, we're going to allow you to use the character at the same time.
Okay.
See, I
think it's inevitable before they take it.
I swear they were Fox, because, you got the Fox Spider-Man cartoon, unless Sony bought it after.
Which one?
Like Spider-Man's Adventure, I think it's Adventure, way back in the 90s. That was on Fox.
That's a long time ago. Like, these are new business deals that have gone along, which is like, I think during the 90s and the early 2000s, when superhero movies weren't quite doing too hot, and even in the 80s, it was kind of like properties were everywhere. Like Marvel wasn't even involved in any process involving their characters, or DC wasn't involved in any process of their characters. It was more of like these studios and these companies kind of having free reign over whatever they kind of wanted to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Looking at Wikipedia, a lot of these were from different companies back then. So yeah. That is, and then I think at some point Sony
had the movie rights or to the Spider-Man license and the X-Men license, or don't quote me on the companies, but these companies started getting the rights to all of these different entities within the same universe type deal, as in like all of these are Marvel, all of these are DC. And then when Marvel kind of started coming up and started creating their own, like, oh, we're going to create our cinematic universe, they started kind of like picking here and there, like, we have these characters, we're going to start buying that. And then when Disney kind of took over Marvel, then they started having that backing of money that they really needed in order to say, like, hey, Marvel is going to take this. You're going to accept it because we're going to put a number out there that you just can't say no to. And Sony had kind of entered an agreement with Marvel. I don't think they gave the rights completely, but like, hey, we're going to let you use Spider-Man. And I think they did it because they wanted to push like their movies as well. So like the Venom movie, I think they wanted whatever people watch the Spider-Man movies, even though they're not really connected, they were just kind of hoping that the crossover would happen and be like, oh, these people are hyped up from Spider-Man and they know that Venom is in the Spider-Man universe. They don't really associate Sony / Disney / Marvel. So they're just going to come watch our movie. And then there's supposed to be a Sinister Six movie, which, please, Sony, don't do it. Like, the Sinister Six is like, ever since I saw them together in the anime in the 90s, like, it was so awesome. And I'm like, Sony, don't do it. Like, I don't want you to ruin it. I mean, they could do it right, but at the same time, I don't have much faith in it. I think that's where it goes with Disney. With Disney and Blizzard, to be honest, I'm pretty conflicted because beforehand, I was completely on board with it. I was like, yeah, like, more money, pump it into the system. But then at the same time, you guys brought up the ideas of like, oh, they shut down their games quickly. And I'm like, Disney is such a large company that what do they consider something profitable? And if they don't see the money gain, like they are that type of corporation. As much as like I love Disney stuff. I love Disney, and you could say everything bad about it and I will agree with you. And guess what? At the same time, I will say I love Disney products. So I think there's like a big difference between the Disney product and Disney as the corporation. And just because even if you hate the corporation, you can't deny the product. And I love the product, and I'm part of the problem because I'm going to support that product because I love that product. I love Kingdom Hearts. And the moment I heard of this was like, oh my god, what if like Sora is battling Garrosh? Or some crazy shit like that. Or he's battling the Lich King. I'm like, that would be off the walls ridiculous.
I like Kingdom Hearts as well, but for the most part, Disney and video games, they're not that great. I think the only reason why Kingdom Hearts has done so well is because it's another company completely doing it, and Disney's just giving them the rights to use their characters.
That is true.
That's what they've been doing since the 90s. But they had some good 90s hits. There were a lot of good Disney games in the 90s. Aladdin, Lion King. People are debating about the Lion King. It was really difficult, but I don't care.
Yeah, I was stuck on the third level. I will fully admit I couldn't get past the third level.
Which one?
Right after the jumping one where you have to jump on the hippos. Oh, are you asking which game? I'm talking about Super Nintendo.
No. You got past the I just want to be king level, and you got to the elephant graveyard.
Barely. And then I get to the graveyard.
That monkey puzzle is the bane of all 90s kids' existence.
Yes.
Like, who would do this demonic thing?
I still have that game, FYI. And I remember renting the Aladdin one. And I got further along the Aladdin than I did. Oh yeah. The Pinocchio one. Have you ever played the Super Nintendo Pinocchio?
I have never played.
No.
Oh, I got to the part where I'm in the whale and you're on the raft and you're trying to not crash the raft into rocks. And I got so far in that one, and then my sister was mean and hated me and turned off the game while I was in the middle of it.
Oh.
So
I have to say, I've beaten Aladdin on both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. I've beaten Toy Story on the Super Nintendo. I beat the Lion King on Super Nintendo. Now I need to go get Pinocchio.
Yes, you really need to play the Pinocchio one. That one was a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember my video store had Super Nintendo games that you could rent for $1 for a week. I was like so excited because I could afford that.
I remember we were on a Disney cruise and we were at these amazing ports. What was I doing at 11 and 12? I was in the Oceaneers Club playing all the old Disney games, like the old Lion Kings, all the old computer games.
Why were they old when you were 11 and 12?
Well, no,
I hate you right now, Frazley.
No, they were young. They were current when I was.
They were young.
Yeah,
the games were young. I swear they were in the youth.
Yeah, I was playing it when I was about 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one was like these are the Disney interactive ones. So these weren't the SNES. These are the PC games, but I remember like one was.
I still have my Apple version of Timon and Pumbaa. Lion King.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have the CD.
You know it's old if you have the Apple version of any game.
Yes, because at the time there was Apple.
Apple
or
was
Windows.
the gaming.
No, Apple.
Yeah.
There was Apple or Windows, and my dad had the Apple computer. My mom had the Window, but back then it was either or. It wasn't for both. It was either or. It was either for Windows or Apple. And of course, my dad's the one who got it for me. So it was an Apple game. And I've always wanted to play it again, but I can't because I have a Windows.
I don't have any. Oh, I do have a window over there. Yeah.
Get a Mac OS.
I have both. I got a Mac and a PC, so I get the most best of both worlds.
Not everyone makes the millions from the podcasting life, Frazzley. Okay? 2 computers? That's nonsense.
Up to billions now. No.
Oh, my bad.
Because
my sub has really gone places.
Absolutely. And, with Disney, chat's, by the way, some really good points. Like Ali saying the Blizzard world would definitely be great. And Kai Sharky Boy was saying, imagine a Stormwind as Disney World. You walk around Stormwind, you hear the music coming out of speakers. You don't know where they are because Disney hides your speakers well. Imagine all that.
My question is this, though. Like, if this was to come to fruition, like Disney buys Blizzard. Okay, so we're all a bit biased here, but if we take it like an outside perspective, how big is World of Warcraft now that Disney would actually consider putting it in a park. How many Disneyland goers do you really think would be? Just imagine like you see it, and without like any like, obviously they put like so much into the advertisement aspect of it, but just on a sheer numbers portion, like, do you think that realistically that like, oh, we have World of Warcraft at Disneyland, like would that, or Disney World, would that really be like the big thing?
It would definitely target certain people, but it would also target people who's never played World of Warcraft, know nothing about World of Warcraft, and then they get to see this Adventureland, because they're totally going to put like an epic roller coaster in there somewhere, like the Dark Moon Fair, and people are going to probably be entranced. And it's like, I really want to play this game.
I think you bring up a good point, Michael. Looking at this article too, the investor is touting two things that would be very beneficial for Disney. The first one would be that maybe Disney's skills as a video game company could help Disney properties.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're really targeting is Activision's esports and Overwatch League.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we saw something at the park, it would be Overwatch.
If that's what they're targeting, then they're making a mistake. I'll be like straight up on it, is that I think that the Overwatch League was initially like great in concept and idea and possibility of advancement, but I do not think that it has succeeded in reaching the levels that it had hoped that it would reach. Like, the outside investment was intense in its initial portion, but I think that a lot of us, like especially in the Blizzard realm, we often don't think about the things that investors are necessarily looking for. And just because an investor says like, I'm going to do this, doesn't mean that once they realize that they are not getting the return on that investment, they're just going to dump the product. And then what does that leave? Like, my big thing with Blizzard in the Disneyland concept was essentially like we can see the possibility. But will Disney as a company be willing to risk their money on such a thing and put in the effort to make it work?
Blizzard already technically helped them, or Activision, with the Blizzard world. So they have a template right there where they can kind of incorporate a little bit of everything. So think of one section of a park where... And it branches off into like 4 or 5, depending on which Blizzard games, because you can put Hearthstone with World of Warcraft. And just like that, there'll be like a little section of Stormwind and the Tavern and all that there. And then you got a little bit of an Overwatch feel where they have the museum. I haven't played Overwatch, so all I remember is the very first cinematic where they have the museum where all these legend of the heroes. And then you could do Hero of the Storms, which can technically walk in all 4 of the parks to show that, you know, they're all connected. And then you got a Diablo section, which will have like the scary haunted house, and they can do it where it might not be the whole thing, but what they also can do is every year change it up a bit. So yeah, one year it's Stormwind, next year it could be Orgrimmar.
I think they could do it, but if I'm looking at it, I personally, I don't see them doing it. I don't think that it is necessarily... If we had been having this discussion like around Wrath of the Lich King time, then I think that definitely, but I do think that Disney is a company that looks at the PR of things. When EA started shitting the brick on certain things, like they were quick to they were starting to drop projects, and they were starting to put it out like, hey, we don't agree with this, blah, blah, blah. And I think that especially right now, like they're probably like, if you look at Blizzard and you look at, okay, let me take a look at this company and see what's going on. You look at it and you look at its public perception right now, and regardless of what that means financially, it's not great. Even for us that play the games, it's not great. If you look at its franchises and the current state that they're in, like, it's arguable that World of Warcraft is still their biggest seller, and their biggest seller right now is in a state of, we want to see what the next expansion is doing in order to improve the shit show that this current one has created. And that's just a public perception. Like, it's not my personal opinion. I actually like a lot of aspects of it. But if I'm looking at a business aspect, then, okay, how can I make myself make more money? Which is essentially what they want That's what the company was. Disney could give two shits about the worlds that were created, that they could care less about Chris Metzen and his writing and all of that effort that went into it. All they want to see is a figure. And my biggest fear would be that the figure would not match up, and Disney has the financial backing to say, screw this, we don't need it, scrap it, get rid of it. Guess what? It's not going to make a big dent in our pocketbook. Yeah, we bought it, but like, just get rid of it.
Yeah, because like Toontown Online had a big following, and there are people that were desperately I mean, Club Penguin had a following. People loved it. Now, Club Penguin had to change from Flash to HTML5. That's when they tried the Club Penguin Island. But they had communities that were diehard for these games, and Disney looked at the financials and said, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a good discussion, kind of like some different takes on it. And I think hopefully this is just a theory, and it's just someone like, I mean, because I want Blizzard to continue and do great. So hopefully we'll wake up tomorrow and find out, just like how we heard about Fox, that Disney suddenly owns Blizzard. I mean,
it wasn't
you never
sudden.
know.
They were talking about it for quite a while. It just, Fox was like, no, we're not going to sell. And then, first they said they weren't going to sell the Marvel stuff. And then they kind of went above them, and it's like, yeah, we're just going to buy the whole company. So, different ways of doing things.
Or maybe thinking of the Star Wars. I know, especially Star Wars, was all of a sudden like, what? Disney bought Star Wars? I mean, that one seemed like overnight, unless I was not watching the signs of it. I just remember hearing one day, Disney bought Star Wars? I mean, arguably, there are people that don't like Star Wars and don't like where it's gone. I've liked all the movies, but that's me. I mean, I'm the same one who liked Shazam, and people who did not like Shazam.
I still haven't seen it. It's on my thing to watch. To me, it's like, if Disney is doing what they did with Fox and just leaves Activision doing their own thing, then they just want the rights, I can see that. And I don't see that being a problem.
Yeah.
It can go in any direction. We don't know. And I think eventually Disney's going to try and own everything.
I'm with you. I mean, I think they want to own our childhoods. Well, and they wanted it
like just everything. And I have a total conspiracy. If you look at all the people who were in the Mickey Mouse Club or started off with Disney, and how they were fine. They were doing good, they were making profits, and then as soon as they pull away from Disney, all of a sudden it seemed like their career is going down the drain. They're rebellious, they get into drugs. And I see it as Disney sabotaging their life somehow, until they sign back up with them or make an agreement. It's like, hey, I'm going to give you some profit here. But
I mean, I see that. Miley Cyrus, we all know where Miley Cyrus, and yeah.
Well, look at Lizzie Lohan. Maybe she didn't re-sign a contract, and that's why her life didn't get any better. But
that's right, because she was in Parent Trap. Yes, and Shia LaBeouf.
Then you go look at Christina Aguilera. She was with them too, and then all of a sudden she stepped away and her career started going down, and I have a feeling she signed up a hidden contract with Disney, and then all of a sudden her career went back up. So this is my conspiracy, that Disney owns everything, and once you sign up with them, you're theirs for life.
I'll end this conspiracy before Disney tries to take us away, but Disney's like N'Zoth. Yeah. And it's like,
I'll just say I disagree.
Give over your soul, and I will give you unlimited power!
Or at least fame.
Where did you find that voiceover? Like, what in the world are you doing in your free time?
So many things. But one thing I'm doing in my free time? I am asking our community. So, I was asking the community, if Disney were to buy Activision-Blizzard, what crossovers from their various properties would you like to see in Disney Blizzard games?
I apologize if I say your name wrong, but Catalunar says World of Pixar, the Eternal Palace of Dory, which sounds like an endless swimming zone, and I'm not a fan.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
All right, we have Rep Pally Jill. None. Flame Flash replied with a GIF GIF, whatever you feel like. Neil Patrick.
GIF.
It's GIF. Neil Patrick Harris saying amen. And Steel Phoenix 78 responded with a GIF of Scruffy from Futurama saying second.
It's amazing that Disney owns Futurama and Simpsons now.
Oh, yeah, they do too.
CBS is How I Met Your Mother, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't own them yet. And Titan Screed said, Heroes of the Storm crossed over with Kingdom Hearts.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
And Alex Aldous says, Big Hero 6 and Overwatch.
Oh, that I can see that. Yes.
I like that movie.
Me too. Hey, Emma, here you go. Da.
Traveling Mage. Marvel to do the WoW movie right.
Oh, yeah.
I like the WoW movie. I don't care what anybody says. I like it.
There's one section I didn't care for because it's a section I always fall asleep in, which surprisingly is the action scene. I don't know why. Action makes me fall asleep.
When he takes off his shoes.
I've got a confession. I have never fully finished a Warcraft movie because every time I need to.
Yep.
Every time I'm watching it, I want to play WoW. So it's...
We'll do both at the same time. Multitask.
I can't. Have you ever tried to see me stream and do different things at the same time? When I'm streaming, I got to play games. Yeah.
I'm hoping they do the movie again, another one. It's going to be in Vancouver, so this time I can really bug my sister to get me on set. I didn't really try hard enough because I didn't want to get her fired.
Tom says, Wrath of the Lich King 2, The Return of the Frozen Throne. Hashtag let it go.
Oh, haven't you seen the photo of why can't I think of her name? The frozen person.
Oh, Elsa, yes.
Yeah, Elsa as wearing Lich King armor. It's amazing. Whoever did that did an amazing job.
Sunshine 5864 says, oh my god, and I can only assume that this is in the Darth Vader version where it says, no. Stop.
All right, Spaz says Azeroth Avengers.
That could be cool.
That
I
really
could see
could.
that.
Yeah, like last night when I was going to the cinematic to unlock the Eternal Palace in that quest for it, it was so cool. You're up with Lorthamar and Gen, two great characters, and you're just having a fun time.
No, I want to see it before then. I want to see it with Thrall's dad, his father. Blah, 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 blah. I'm forgetting everything. I'm drawing a blank. I'm forgetting the names. So you'd have Black Hand and all those guys, the previous ones from the Second War and stuff like that. So
nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be really cool.
I'm just thinking the Hulk meeting Thrall and them trying to have some sort of macho green match of who's tougher and stronger.
Hearthstone. They would play Hearthstone.
Okay, yeah, they're probably gonna play Hearthstone. And if the Hulk gets mad, he's gonna smash, but not anymore. According to the last,
just like in the animations when he gets upset and he smashes the table. Except this time the table breaks.
No, this time the table flips.
Frazzley knows about that.
Yeah, I know about that. Hammond Chamberlain says Overwatch plus major Disney IPs equal Kingdom Overwatch Hearts.
I like the idea in a sense, but if it's all first person, then you kind of miss that imagery of seeing all those characters.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah.
It's more like Half-Life.
Yeah. Kai Sharky Boy. I think it would be a funny idea to have a raid or a mega dungeon in Warcraft where you randomly battle some Disney villains, very similar to Kingdom Hearts in various worlds. It doesn't have to follow the main story to justify it. It could just kind of be there for fun. I'm in love with this idea.
I am too.
I want to say I can kind of see Karazhan in the theater room, the opera room, and them doing that because you never know what boss you're going to get. But this time it's going to be in Kingdom Hearts, and it's you can pick a portal. Is it 1, 2, or 3? You don't know what's going to be on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I do like that.
Jin of Morley Gray Podcast. We need more gin. Not what he said, but side point. Powerline already reminds me of the Blood Elves. Just redo a Goofy movie with Warcraft characters. Pete could definitely be an ogre.
Yes, Powerline. I know Powerline. No,
I haven't thought of Powerline in years.
I did the last time I walked into one.
Are you okay?
What?
It was electric. Bookie, bookie, bookie. Gamrick says none.
Marty, a great friend of mine and Frazley's, I believe.
Yes.
I don't know your personal relationship with Marty, so I don't want to assume things.
We are besties.
But Marty says a real Blizzard world, which I think you have all discussed that you are a fan of.
Yes.
Yep.
The possibilities. And then I get to read my own, which is pretty cool. I simply piggybacked off of somebody else, but I said, and it's just a play on it, I was like, I'd kind of like to see the Wrath of the Lion King, the Frozen Scar.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, Scar comes back and he's ready to destroy Pride Rock. And you go there and you're like trying to battle Scar and he's like this giant lion in the middle of the room. Dragon mechanics come on, like, clawing at you and stuff.
I'm just gonna burst the bubble, but
No!
but the next episode far down, his kids kind of try it. Well, actually, his mistress with the kids and all that try to take over Pride Rock too.
No, it's like an adopted son. It's not his real son.
Okay.
No, it's his real
Talking
son.
about Kovu?
Yeah.
You don't know what you know about Kovu. It's not his real
It's
son.
his real son.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
There's a line in there that says that he raised him like he was his father.
I've never seen Lion King 2. I don't know about the kids.
I'll have to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure it is his father, and he basically just abandoned them because, well, there's only supposed to be one male lion in the pack.
And you know what I want to see Anduin doing in this one? Oh, I just can't wait to be king.
What I could see, all right, is Sylvanas being a Disney princess. And her just hating every moment of it.
Oh.
That's too real. That's too real.
And you get all the princesses, they're like, oh, let's do your hair and nails. And she's just giving them the evil eye.
And saying things like, I will shoot you when I have a chance.
More like she's going to poison them when they're not watching.
We've seen that move done before.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned princesses because I would love to see the Disney princesses as kick-ass players in Overwatch. Imagine them kicking some serious butt and being MVP of games.
So would they actually be kicking or
that, or using power, but they would just be
using powers?
Yeah. I mean, I know Rapunzel could use the frying pan, and the frying pan she shoots stuff, and I mean, it's they could all have some really cool powers.
Frazley is here to destroy the mythos.
And I agree with Kai Shag where Rapunzel would be overpowered.
I mean, she has all the hair. How could you not be?
Yeah.
Oh, you have never seen my hair. Speaking of that,
but I've also gotten to play Rapunzel's level in what's it called?
Kingdom Hearts.
In Kingdom Hearts. So.
Which nice. Kingdom Hearts has Rapunzel?
Kingdom Hearts 3.
I haven't finished 2.
I've not finished 3.
I finished 1. I just haven't finished 2.
Why you invite me on this podcast, Frazley?
I got stuck on 2.
How could you start on 2 and not finish it? 2 is the best.
I got
one.
stuck. I'm still stuck. I can't pass a I'm really bad with jumping games.
1 does not get stuck in Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 gets stuck on you.
I can't pass the Mulan phase. I'm stuck there.
You mean the third world?
I'm stuck. I can't jump and defeat things, and I'm stuck because there's a jumping game in there, and I just can't do it.
You just sounded like Musha right there, Michael. But you want to know why I bring you on? So then that we can do a trivia round where tonight Lady M is going to read off the card to you and see how much you get right.
Yep. And don't worry, Frazley.
This is not going to go well
Frazley,
for anybody that
you got a card too.
Okay.
So
that's fine. Tonight we are going to pit the 2 gnomes together.
Yep.
This is not on the show.
No, it is. It says trivia.
It says trivia.
There.
Oh, that little thing.
Yep. It's a gnome sized.
All right. Let's do it.
And you get 1 minute per question.
First question. What is the historic capital city of the Bronzebeard dwarves?
Ironforge.
That is correct. As I brutally read that question. Next question for you. What is one of the 3 specializations for alchemy professions? This question might be outdated.
If it's outdated, I'm gonna go with poisons.
Not rogues. Alchemy.
It's before my time. Flasks.
Close.
Potions.
Yes, that I'll give it to you. You could also have picked
Alright.
elixir or transmutations.
Oh yeah, transmutation was right on the tip of the tongue.
Well, it is because to build some of the legendaries, you had to transmute some stuff to get enough items to get a legendary item in the past.
I play Modern WoW. I push a button and it works.
Okay. Third question. What is the name of Karen Bloodhoof's son?
Bane.
That is correct.
That is really good.
Okay, which gladiator Murloc pet was rewarded to players who did a specific amount of arena matches to a given season?
I got no clue on that one. I got no clue.
What's the Murloc's name? That's all we want to know.
Murky? I don't know.
He's a gladiator. Think gladiator names for a Murloc.
And Gladiator is the only thing close, but I don't think it's related to that. It's Mercadin.
No.
But that's the Illidan one that was BlizzCon.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know this one.
Okay, it's Merkmis the Gladiator. Merkmis.
Yeah, that was nowhere near my vocabulary.
Next question. Which of the following is not a member of the Black Dragonflight?
Oh.
And there's 2 names I don't know how to read. Onyxia, Nefarian.
I'm gonna stop you right there. It's Onyxia. Oh wait, no, keep going. No, don't.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the wrong one.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you were
Go
thinking
ahead.
which one is a black dragon. We want not.
Yeah. Don't listen to me. I don't know.
I'm gonna write these down so you can see. I'm gonna put them.
I'm gonna try Aranicus or Sibelian.
See, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna go with Sibelian.
Are you sure that's your final answer? I know it's only
That'll be my
50-50
final
right there, but are you sure?
That's what I got.
Okay, no, it's the other one.
Oh.
No! Is it a green dragon?
I don't know. We can look that up.
For some reason, I was getting green dragon vibes.
When Molten Core Raid first released, what item was required to douse the runes of the Fire Lord?
Oh no! I know this, but I'm not gonna grab it from my head. I wasn't around when Molten Core was released, but I watched a Mad Season video about it. Why couldn't you just ask, like, what did you need to do in order to get the runes gone? I would have doused it with the item. Oh man.
Don't worry, I will pull
it
it.
was a green dragon.
Yeah, that was a green dragon. So
I knew it was a green.
Yeah, but you picked a black dragon. Anywho,
I have no freaking clue what the item would be.
So, what do you need to use to take out fires? Not a grease fire, but a regular fire.
Well, I know you need, like, water.
Uh-huh. And what was, a very common thing in old raids that pick up all the time?
Demons.
You pick up demons, got it. These did drop off of a water demon. So what's another name for water?
Aqua.
Uh-huh. Trust me, I wouldn't get this either.
Droplet.
I'm glad I have the card.
Aqua droplets.
I'm gonna have to call.
Okay. So the answer
Sharky Boy said Aquafina.
Aquafina, nice.
When Molten Core Raid was first released, what item was required to douse the runes of the Fire Lords was Aqua Quintessence.
Aqua Quintessence. Coming soon to a store near you.
So, with this end result, you have gotten 3 points.
I hope Frazley's is harder. He's played the game longer than me.
Well, let's see.
in beta 3.1.
I'm looking at the
0.84.
answers without reading the questions, and I think this one's a really easy card. I'm sorry. You should have picked this one.
No!
Okay. Which is not located in Stormwind City? The Dwarven District, the Mage Quarter, the Old Town, or the Barter District?
The Barter District.
That is correct. Hey, I gave you the choice of the cards. Horses are the racial mount of which race?
Humans.
That's correct. What is a Grummel's most prized personal possession?
Trinkets.
No.
Oh, yeah, lucky dudes.
There we go.
Give me half a point because I changed my answer on that one.
I didn't hear you change your answer.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that.
What? This is bullshit. You gave him all the easy ones.
You have
Michael,
the option of the card.
Yeah, and Lady Emma is our dungeon master of trivia.
Okay. Items with name featuring blue lettering are what rarity? Now think really hard. Blue lettering.
Rare.
That is correct.
I should know this. Because this has been a question before.
All right. This one is probably going to be your hardest question, Frazley.
Okay.
Ironjaw, Thrashtail, and Crystal Spine are all types of what creature?
Basilisks.
That is correct.
Yes. See all those alts, all those irons? Yeah.
All right, your last question. And I'm really, really sorry, Michael. Really, really. I blame Frazley. Okay. What type of core is needed to deactivate a shield generator when fighting Lady of Vosh?
Okay,
That's actually a difficult one.
Not with the amount of times I had to farm it, and it was almost impossible at the time to farm it on your own because when you got the item, it planted you. You couldn't run to the pillar.
Stop giving Frazley all these
You had to
clues.
throw it at someone. And then they finally changed it that you can walk around. But the guy despawns really quickly, so you have to make sure you're on the right side of the room to pick up that item.
I'm going to say irradiated core.
Very, very, very close. First word wrong.
Oh, so you just get like multiple answers, I guess.
Now, you already gave me the first one, so this one I'm going to say I did not get. See, Michael, I'm trying to play fair.
Because you already know you won.
That too.
Michael, I did give you a lot of chances and try to help as best as I could. Just your card ended up being harder.
I had questions from like in the beta, like blah blah blah. What were the number of blades?
Do you want a
that
new
they had?
card? Should we give him a new card?
No, I don't have enough time in the night. The girlfriend is already yelling at me.
Okay, well,
Aw.
yeah.
I kicked mine out of the house, so
I can't do that. She runs the show, so just like you were able to kick him out.
I basically have planned it. It's like, no, the last Thursday of the month, you're not allowed to be in the house. And if you can take your grandmother with you, that's even better.
Wow.
No, I'm actually really shocked.
You and Boo Boo can get out, all right?
I'm actually really surprised she hasn't knocked on the door halfway through this, like she always does. She's a lovely, wonderful person, but she always wants me to read something. English is her fifth language. So she always wants me to read something or translate something, which I have no problem, but it's like, I'm trying to record and trying to explain to someone in their 80s what you're doing. It just goes whoosh.
Ebonics is my fifth language.
Hey, Emma, can you read and translate this for me?
Okay. Thank you for both joining me on FrazlCast. Where can we find you on the interwebs?
If you want to find me on Twitter, my handle is AcidTears111 with the, instead of an S at the end of tears, it's actually a Z, and the number is 111. So that's AcidTears111. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitch at The Blue Recluse. So that's twitch.tv/The Blue Recluse. Every Wednesday, as best we can, myself and Frazley, we do the G-Nome project, which is us just kind of having fun, leveling gnomes for the heck of it. And right now we are on a bit of a hiatus, but once we get going up again, you could probably find us over at the Blue Recluse Twitch channel on Sundays, where we do the Blue Recluse podcast, which is a podcast all about Blizzard games, and with my co-host Marty and Tom. They're really good guys occasionally.
You know, I've realized why I can never find it, because I keep thinking it's the Blue Recluse.
Yeah, Frazley made us a song, and the whole song, he said our name wrong and did not realize it.
Nope, for a few months I did not realize
It's
it.
not. All right, it's Blue Recluse, right?
Yes.
Okay, like
Yeah.
the spider.
It's only a pub that's in Stormwind.
Yeah, and I kept going,
But
it's
It's a
the
knockoff
Blue
of-
Recluse.
No, it's a knockoff of the brown recluse that is a really poisonous spider. So maybe the blue recluse is even more poisonous.
Yeah.
Try to justify this. No. He was a listener of the podcast. We say the title every single time.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I really like Allie's podcast, Dungeon Fables.
So, Frazzley, how did you say the name?
This is the Blue Recluse. This is the Blue Recluse. This is...
Having flat.
And you can find me, obviously, on Twitter, where that's my big, happy, warm, fuzzy place, at Lady_Emma. I almost did Lady Zero Emma because a lot of my new handles have been Lady Zero Emma. And that is pretty much, you can probably find me everywhere. If you find me on Twitter, chat me up there, and we can move to Discord, World of Warcraft, because I like to do stuff in World of Warcraft. Except Frazley keeps abandoning me.
Well, I think I'm going to head back to Ironforge. There's a quest I need to go turn in over in Nomergon. Yes, there's that pet battle quest. So.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe I can steal you for 20 minutes so I can actually show you the ICC world that I see.
I see what you see.
And maybe get you that mount that no one can see.
Activating customized Corpus A transporter.
Well, I am back in Ironforge until we one day reclaim Nomergon. So Lady M and I ran ICC after the show. There was no mount, but she looked into Kilrog's sight.
Let's see what the wondrous, mysterious Kilrock site foretells of the upcoming events in Azeroth.
Thank you for joining us on Kilrog Site, the upcoming events for August in World of Warcraft. Darkmoon Fair starts August 7th to 13th. Last month, we talked about being a human cannonball. Now that you've been practicing being the ammo, let's work on our aim with He Shoots, He Scores! This is a really easy game that's fun for the whole family. The goal is to get 25 points within 1 minute. To get the points, you would need to shoot when you see a green arrow above one of the 3 targets. You can just start shooting randomly and pray it hits the target that you need to hit. And by doing this, you might get the achievement Quick Shot. Also, that allows you to hit the target 2 to 3 times before it disappears, getting more points. That's all you need to know about this fun game. There's also many more achievements and mounts and pets and transmog to collect. August micro holidays that are coming up. Free t-shirt day. This is the first time this has happened, so this might not 100% true, we'll find out. But head to your main city, Stormwind or Orgrimmar on August 16th for a free t-shirt. A city entertainer will be shooting out free t-shirts using a shirt cannon. At this point, it looks like we can learn the appearance of these shirts, and there's about 22. So if you need to add more transmog for your shirts, this is the best way to do it. It also looks like it's the first micro holiday other than Trial of Style that we get to keep the transmog from the event. Also, disclaimer, this hasn't happened yet, so this is still speculation. Trial of Styles, August 31st to September 4th. Do you think you have what it takes to be the best in the stylish? Why don't you and a few friends, up to 5, try the Trial of Styles? There's a few themes, and whoever is the best dressed for that theme can win the Trial of Style token. You and your friends or random people can vote. You can use these tokens for transmog or for some items to decorate the stage to make you stand out more. There's 3 different transmog tokens for each armor type, and hopefully there'll be more in the future. The weekly bonus event for August is World Quest event starting July 30th to August 5th. You gain 50% more rep completing World Quests. Good time to farm the rep of the new faction if you still haven't gotten Pathfinder 1 or 2. Quest is to complete 20 World Quests and it rewards you Azerite. Time Walking Dungeon event August 6th to 12th. Cataclysm needs to be level 86 or higher. Finish 5 Time Walking Dungeon rewards you Azerite. Time or badges, which is also currency for things in game. Battleground bonus event August 13th to 19th. Gain 50% more honor during battlegrounds, objective, and winning them. Quest is to win 4 battlegrounds and reward you conquest and 5 max honor and Azerite. Battle for Azeroth dungeon event August 20th to 26th. The last boss fight in the newest expansion dungeon will reward an extra item. The quest is to complete 4 mythic or plus for a chance at another gear item. Pet battle bonus August 27th to September 2nd. It triples the XP pet battle, so go find those trainers and battle your pets. Quest is to win 5 level 25 PvP battles for an ultimate battle training stone. There is no main holidays in August. We gotta get Blizzard because August is a little bare. Alright, and that's everything for Kilrog's site. I hope you guys have an insightful day.
Thank you, Emma, for showing us what's coming up in Azeroth. So I think now it's time for something.
Let's look at what has been happening in the community.
Awesome idea. Let's do that. So Laura Post, who's the voice of Queen Ajara, will be on Mentally Obsessed podcast on July 30th. And Bex has pre-orders up for their blue foil Jaina print. It is $30 and the price includes shipping to anywhere in the world. I like to always encourage new content creators. Well, XSplit is the tool that I use for streaming, and they just came out with the XSplit Express video editor. It is for short form content, it's free. They say you can cut, stitch, and export without rendering, and you can actually import your recordings from OBS, Streamlabs, and XSplit. So really cool. And there are some classic news items to talk about. So Wowhead has improved their item filters, and they've added a classic added in content phase item filter to Wowhead. So their description is, when you use our added in content phase filter, you can specify if you want items added in a specific phase or mix and match several phases. You can also combine them with other queries, such as items added in phase 3 with agility that are epic, or items added in phase 5 or later that have nature resistance for cloth wearers. And do you love the write and do you love WoW Classic? Well, Icy Veins is now recruiting writers for WoW Classic. They have a post on what they're looking for and what the requirements are, so definitely I encourage you to go check it out. And does all this talk about Dungeons & Dragons on the past couple episodes get you excited and hankering for more? Well, Geek and Sundry has a thing called Dungeon in a Box, and it delivers D&D to your doorstep. This is not sponsored, I just wanted to share this, so Alessandra sent this to me. The description is that it is a subscription kit that includes a brand new 5th edition adventure book, skinny miniatures, terrain tiles, and maps sent to your house. And it's packed with original art and stories you won't find anywhere else, promising a breath of fresh dungeon air every month. Well, this has been another packed episode of FrazlCast. So I got a few things I want to talk about before we head off. So I just found out today that Jill is being discharged from the hospital and they're going home. Jill's been on earlier episodes of this show and will be back for the post-BlizzCon episode, so I'm so glad you're home, Jill. I was on Epic Fail Podcast 198 with Draven. We talked about a lot of things. Funny enough, on that episode we talked about Disney, but it wasn't about investor relations. I will be on Epic Fail Podcast 199, or rather, I was by the time you hear this. I'll mention it next week, as 199 is sure to be a big one. Ali's going to be on it. Sadly, it will also be the episode where Epic Fail Podcast goes on hiatus. Draven talked about it on 198, and I bet they will talk about it on 199 as well. I'm sad to see the show go on hiatus, but I hope to see it return again soon. Thank you again, Draven, for having me on the episodes that you did. You are always fun to talk to, and I enjoy your personality. And Draven is slated to be on an episode of FrazlCast in August? Whoa, it's August? Almost! And I got a few shoutouts for FrazlCast to talk about. So as Michael said earlier in this episode, I know a lot about table flips, especially in Tabletop Simulator, except Tom won't let me flip the table in our Dragon Power Studio game nights. So a shout out to Tom, who tweeted out a video showing how they listen to FrazlCast every week. I have a link in the show notes. Tom does want to make sure that everyone knows no tables were harmed in the making of this video. Oh, and Tom and Amanda, they sent in this clip singing the song about my first iron that died to spiders.
Razzle dazzle pudding pie.
That song always brings tears to me. And Feral sent in a tweet about 116 with Seraphis, and they said, great episode of FrazlCast. Really loved the focus and historical detail. Great discussion, guys. And Colorado Mike also enjoyed the episode with Seraphis, and they said Seraphis is quite the character. And I absolutely agree. And now's the time of the show where I like to thank those who have supported the show financially. Thank you to my Twitch subs like Michael of the G-Nome Project, who you heard on earlier. Thank you to Capo. Thank you to Chris of MMO Reporter. Thank you to Razurus. Thank you to Smashersaurus. Thank you to Thorn of Lagging Balls and Convert to Raid. And thank you to Zorts the Goblin. If you want to support the show, please go to support.gnomepodcast.com. All of these go to help supporting this labor of love. Well, I am Frazley, and you can find the show at gnomepodcast.com. So until next week, be awesome. Welcome to the Frazzle Report, a short broadcast by me, the Awesome Gnome, about the World of Warcraft. So goblins are confused as to why people want to raid Area 51. They were trying to get people to raid Area 52 again, as the town has not seen that many players since the level changes in 7.3.5. Before then, many people would go through Netherstorm on their alts. They would stop by the town to check in at the end, they would buy from the vendors, and they would get their quests. But the town has been a steep decline financially since these changes. The goblins had a whole Facebook viral marketing campaign set up, but their marketing agency incorrectly sent out that it was about Area 51, and everything was all over. The goblin asked me to bring awareness to this, so I'm doing my small part. And speaking of awareness, I need to ask why there are so many empty energy cells across Mechagon. Very funny, Braun. Very funny. But these empty cells seem to be in every mechanized chest I find and on many of the mobs I loot. Why are people discarding all of these? Hasn't anyone heard of recycling or reusable batteries? Maybe that's a far out idea. And speaking of far out ideas, let's moonwalk into space just like Apollo 11 did 50 years ago. And let's check out this gorgeous StarCraft Terran battlecruiser from Dark Horse Comics. No, it's not a gigantic robotic ship that looks like the cinematic director Taron Gregory, which I was so sad to hear, as I always think of him when I hear this word. But this is a replica of the Terran ship from StarCraft, and the replica can be yours for $300. And after doing the moonwalk, it's time to do the time walk again. Follower mission tables in 8.2 added the abilities to earn currency for holiday events, like the Time Warp badges that you can get from Wrath Time Walking, which has been going on this past week. So on July 19th, Blizzard patched the rewarded badges to now be up to 50, which is a huge increase from the 15 badges prior. Badges? We need badges! And Blizzard devs have been chopping up robots, and now there are more dead robots showing up to be looted for the Chopped Robots quest in Mecha... No, not gonna say it. I don't want Bronzebeard calling in again. They're probably still listening. In the new zone with gnomes that was added in 8.2, the devs must be loving seeing these robotic creatures suffer. Another robot made it to the chopping block. The cycle of life can be so cruel. And icky snails can be cruel, especially when you're trying to do the quest to collect them and they're stuck in trees. Thankfully, Blizzard has hotfixed it so the ones in the coral forest no longer hide under trees. You coward snails. This issue got fixed slowly, but that's to be expected for a hotfix delivered at a snail's pace. Icy Veins has been buzzing about where the bee mount is. It stings that we cannot ride these lovable creatures yet, except for that one flight master in Tierguard Sound. They have a post about where it might be. When we get these finally, it will be sweet as honey. And the race for World First has been very sweet. A lot of people have been enjoying it. I hesitate to report on it, as by the time this broadcast makes it to you after the live recording, it may well be over. Icy Veins has a great report up on where things are as of day 6 of the race. Over the race, many raids have downed Orgazoa. Sorry, I like cheese. And the Queen's Court has been utterly demolished by many guilds. And Limit is pushing it to the limit on Ajara, followed by Method, with the 3rd place going to pieces. WildProgress.com has an up-to-the-minute listing of all the guilds and their progress. Many guilds are stressing out over who will win, and Blizzard is stressing out over Classic's upcoming launch. The date of the final stress test has been postponed. As of right now, I haven't seen the new date for it, unless I overlooked it. And over in Overwatch, they are getting their own version of WoW's looking for group function. You can now queue as a tank, damage, or support. Reports are coming in that tank and support, just like WoW, are going through faster than DPS. I'll be sure to watch as this progresses. Oh, I've got some late-breaking news here. Sigma has been announced as the newest hero in Overwatch. They are an eccentric astrophysicist who hopes to unlock the secrets of the universe. And they are unaware that they are being used as a living weapon. Sounds to me like Doctor Strange or Tony Stark. There's a trailer up to marvel at, and we'll know more once this hero hits PTR. And before this report concludes, it has been announced that after 28 years, Frank Pierce, one of the co-founders of Blizzard, is going to be retiring. There's a letter from Frank and from Jay Allenbreck on this decision. It's definitely sad to see someone go. Someone who has been here since the beginning and has probably been very instrumental in keeping the vision of Blizzard going. Only the future will tell where things go. I'm optimistic that it will be good, but it's still worrying to see after all the news this year. And finally, the age of digital media has claimed another print newspaper. You may have seen a print tabloid in the checkout lane at your vendor or in restrooms across Azeroth. It was called Silvermoon News. Well, they have apparently gone out of business, as their Twitter account vanished without a trace. I was quite enjoying this paper, hearing things that other papers refuse to publish. I believe in reporting on what others won't. The free press will continue, no matter what happens. Silvermoon News, I hope to see you again. I support the free expression of ideas, unless you're the Daily Punctilio or Rita Skeeter of the Daily Prophet. Well, I'm off to go to the auction house to sell some more gear. I've been acquiring a lot of it in Mecha Zone, as well as to dance the night away, as the auction house dance party is only on for a few more hours. So until next time, be awesome, baby!
Are you getting ganked at max level?
Are you finding yourself lost in BGs?
Is your age greater than your PvP rating?
Do you find yourself being pounded harder than Sea-Doo at BlizzCon?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute and listen to the self-proclaimed professionals. Download Technically PvP Podcast now.
Our informative and lengthy podcasts are available 24/7 on your app of choice to help with all of your PvP needs.
FrazlCast is a fan podcast that covers Blizzard games. We are not affiliated with Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. Views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own. Some of the art, music, and sound effects come from Blizzard games and are owned by Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. No copyright infringement is intended. The Gnome Train intro is by Allie of Dungeon Fables and All Things Azeroth, and the opening music is by Brandon T. Blaylock.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.